All right, talking about disasters, you want a disaster, try getting a liquor licence in Wellington. Try running an entertainment venue that might sell alcohol. I have been aware, because I go out occasionally every maybe third Friday and might have a drink, and I know a few people in the hospo industry. And the same story is being told by all of them. When trying to run their establishments in an economically difficult time, they are facing mountains of bureaucracy or bureaucratic mountains to climb and red tape all over the place. And authorities, be it by way of licensing authorities, who are hostile to them and are not trying to negotiate for their business to be open, but trying to make things so difficult that they close. I have one acquaintance who was taken to court for fraud before the charges were dropped because of some super obscure thing about the security guards he hired. That was dropped. There are a couple of famous cases down in Courtenay Place where objections to licences have finally been dropped when it's been exposed that much of the evidence being provided by police and others is kind of skewed and weird. I've got other friends who run a lovely little bar restaurant further down towards the nice end of town, not Courtenay Place. And I've said to them, well, what's the deal? What are the council saying? What are the licensing authorities saying? Are they worried about the extent of the hours? And they said, no, we get the feeling they just don't want our business to exist. So what is going on here? Well, one person who might know, and has come out and put out a media statement about this and got into it, is ACT MP and small business spokesperson for the party, Leah Trask, who joins us by phone now. Laura, welcome to the platform. Nice to have you with us.
Hey, Sean. Nice to be on the show this morning. I'm going to disclaimer that I'm actually at the airport waiting to board a flight. So if you hear the odd boarding call, don't panic.
All right.
You do have my attention for the next 20 minutes.
Okay. Laura, as I've said, I know a lot of people in hospo in Wellington, or a few. And the level of, if you like, animosity towards them, or that they feel from licensing authorities and the police, to my mind, is remarkable.
Oh, it's absolutely remarkable. Look, since I made this statement, I've been inundated with comments from Courtenay Place business owners and actually across the country. So it may actually be a bit of a bigger issue, but Wellington does seem to be where we're seeing most of this disproportionate, I would say, bureaucracy going on. So there's definitely a bit of a power imbalance. All the risk is being borne by the potential operators, and you can just imagine that stress on people that have spent heaps and heaps of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars on fit-outs, etc., to then just be basically waiting, having your fate held by a few people within Wellington.
All right. Can you give us any examples, or the most egregious examples of this?
Yeah, look, I think, the one that I commented on was the St. Diablo wanting to open up, and they had their liquor licence objected to, and I think Health New Zealand, the joint agencies, so Health New Zealand and the police had budgeted $60,000 to actually fight this liquor licence, and that's an enormous amount of money to start with, and then they used examples around how many bars are in the area, for example, and the effects were just completely off.
How many licences? And there are a whole lot of licences that had never been granted, never been fully applied for. They made up the figures. Yeah.
That's exactly it. It was completely made up.
Yeah.
And, I've heard of a council inspector that was sacked during this licensing process for bullying behaviour as well. So,
can I ask you, Laura, is it the job of health authorities, of the police, to fight liquor licences? How can they even make a budget to fight something? Surely the job of these bureaucrats is to go through the process and the system of people applying for a licence and stay impartial as to the outcome of that process.
100%. Look, I think like a lot of New Zealanders, I was actually quite surprised that one of our government departments has a specific agency to actually fight and oppose these liquor licences. We can all agree that alcohol does cause a lot of harm, but I would much rather see those resources spent on actual positive initiatives to help reduce alcohol harm incidences rather than, kind of persecuting people, these good Kiwis that want to get out there, contribute to the economy, to society, create jobs, safe spaces for people to socialise. And I think that is a really sad state that we've kind of gotten ourselves in as a country. And in Wellington itself, you just have to go down Courtney Place nowadays to see that, it's not the same as it used to be. And that's really sad.
Yeah. The other thing I have found when I've talked to people I know in the industry, they're afraid of saying anything or coming out publicly because they think they then fear the police and these licensing authorities and the health officials who they believe will be even more unfair towards them. They are afraid of authority.
100%, and I think that is a really real fear. And what I'd like to give big props up to is actually the business owners on Courtney Place that did band together on this issue, because there's often power or safety in numbers. And I think if you are a Wellington bar owner and you have been, or a restaurant owner that has been faced with the similar challenges, I suggest that you reach out to these guys. But also, I really suggest that the authorities, that the council, potentially even some of the authorities within central government, actually sit down and listen to the stories from these operators. And I think we need more of that happening.
Yeah.